And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hi, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Melody, and this is my dad.
Tom Vasel!
We're going to be reviewing Fantastiqa.
Fantastiqa? You know, let me tell you this, publishers, when you're going to make a game and you call it Fantastiqa, and then people are going to talk about your game, then people are going to go look for it and they're not going to find it because there's a Q in it. Think about that, you know, unless you want to call the game Fantastiqa with a Q. But anyhow, Fantastiqa is a board game that uses deck building mechanics. It's not all about deck building. In fact, I'd say deck building is only really 50% of this game. In it, you are in a special land that uses toothbrushes as magic wands and uses teeth as helmets and all kinds of weird things.
Those teeth as cats and a goat as a helmet.
Oh, that's right. A goat was the helmet. The teeth was a cat. I'm still confused on how that all works together.
And a sword was a spatula.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, don't mess with some people's spatulas. Let's take a look at the game. You'll see what I'm talking about. It looks like there's a kabillion and a half pieces here on the board, but really it's not that complicated. First of all, you have this piece here, which is just a big piece to show you what person you are. There's different people that you can be, each with a different color and a different background. So I'll be this beautiful lady staring off into the sea. She's my adventurer. And then I'm going to get a deck of cards. Each of these cards shows a specific thing. I have a toothbrush and a spatula and a helmet and a net and a broom and a pail and a bat and a candle and a cat. Doesn't really match necessarily the symbols, but each of those symbols, as you can look at this circle of subduing here, is good against one other symbol. I'm also going to get a dog card, and I'm also going to get a peaceful dragon card, which is a waste of time card. These peaceful dragon only does sit around and drink tea. And then I will get to pick a special ability card that I will be able to add into my deck, and each player gets to pick one of those. Each player also gets to pick a starting quest. These cards are then shuffled into a deck, and I'll be using that deck as I go around the board. Each player is going to take a piece, and they're going to start at one of these spots. These spots are actually randomly determined. The forest starts here, and there's a different statue. There's 2 beast statues, 2 quest statues, and 2 artifact statues that are placed out there, or as we call them, giant squirrel, big cup, and pepper shaker. Anyhow, so on your turn, you have 3 different actions that you can do. One of those actions is to go exploring, as you go exploring from one spot to the other. However, as you go across each of these spots, you have to fight someone. It's a billy goat. Ah! Okay, well, this billy goat is subdued by a spider web. So that means if I have a spider web in my hand or a net, I can throw that net on the billy goat and keep going on my merry way. I can go and fight as many people as I can, going across different paths. When I'm done moving, I will take not only the card I fought the billy goat with, but I get the billy goat. He was just a web, but now he's also a goat. Ha-ha! And I will discard all the cards that I played into a discard pile. Another thing, and then before the next person's turn, we're going to put more creatures out. And as the game progresses, some creatures will become more difficult than others. And in fact, sometimes when you turn over a card, it will say discard half your jewels. Jewels, you say? Yes, there's a pile of colorful jewels here, which they don't really need to be all these different colors because they all mean the same thing. Players will start with some of those, and you'll use those as you go to different statues. When you go to a creature statue here, you can utilize that, or a beast statue, I'm sorry. You can draw the top 3 cards of this deck and buy one of them for 3 jewels. These are great because these are double icons of the different types. Oh, that's great. If you go to an artifact statue, you can draw 3 of those cards, and these give you special abilities that when you get them, you can play them. Draw a card from the creature deck, put it in your discard pile, teleport to a region whose statue matches the one in your current region, reclaim any card from your discard pile and add it to your hand. And these have different costs from 2 to 4, although these all happen to cost 3. So you can use a statue. You can also use a statue and pay 1 gem to get cards out of your deck, like those peaceful dragons, which are a real pain in the neck. So you're moving around and you are using statues to add cards, to get rid of cards. You can also pay 2 gems to teleport from one statue to the same type of statue as time goes by. And you can also, there are some cards that have free actions, like when you play the dog here, you'll get a gem added to you. Many of the creatures on the board, when you kill them, you will also get a gem, like these spiders. When I kill these spiders, I get a gem. Other creatures, when you kill them, will give you a special ability, like the witch here. Each player starts with some tiles that they can use over the course of the game as free actions. Here, take all your discards, put them together in your pile and shuffle them. Or this one here, which lets you jump from one location to another location without having to fight the monster, which becomes one of those special abilities and lets you do that. Or here, the Billy Goat lets you take an action. You can move and take an action at a statue. Here, the Enchantress, you can put a dragon, one of those peaceful dragons, in someone else's deck. So those are the 2 main actions, using statues and moving, except there's one third very important action, and that is finishing your quests. Each quest gives a reward, points and or jewels, and has something that needs to be done. You need to pay 2 swords in the Frozen Wastelands. So if I go to the Frozen Wastelands, show 2 cards that have swords on them, I've completed this quest. It's my quest. And in fact, as I'm going through my deck, if I draw a sword at some point in time, or as this card calls it, a spatula, I can stick it under my quest and save it there for later. You can use 2 of any card for a wild one fighting, but you can't do that when you're completing quests. There are also 2 public quests that anybody can go for, and these quests often have bigger rewards for them, but they're hard to do. This needs 3 spider webs. This one here needs 2 goats and 2 wands in the wetlands, and you'll get 2 jewels and 2 points. And a public quest, if you get it, also comes with an extra point for, well, just being special. When you go to one of these quest spots, you can draw 3 of these quests and take your own private quest. The problem is they're worth negative points until you complete them. So you want to draw some quests, add 1, and complete it as quickly as possible. Depending on how many players are playing the game, you have to get to a certain number of points. The first person to get to that many points by completing quests is the winner. So basically at the beginning of this game, you start with a spatula and a toothbrush, and they get better as the game goes by. Melody, what do you think about this game?
I really like this game. The deck building part really reminded me of Dominion, and moving around and having quests made this game a lot more fun to play. It took me a while to finish my quest because I couldn't find the monsters that I needed to defeat, and when I did, I didn't have the things that I needed to defeat them with. So it took me a lot of moving around, and it took a while to finish like 1 quest, but it was still a lot of fun.
All right, let's talk about a couple things. Components. Do you like the components of the game? What's your favorite?
They don't really look like the cup thingies.
The what?
The little blue cups.
Well, they kind of do. My favorite component are those gems. I don't know what it is. They're just pretty colors. They look really cool on the board. You know, everything is very high quality. This box is like a really strong box. You know, it's much stronger than most of the boxes. It has a great insert. Everything fits in the insert. In fact, I was told that the insert also fits all the expansions really well. So that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, for the expansion.
The card quality is top notch. What about the artwork? Do you like the artwork?
It was kind of wacky, like the baby dragon actually looked like an older dragon, but it was still fun to defeat with a spatula.
Okay. This artwork to me kind of gives off a vibe of almost being from like the 1930s or 40s. It's a softer fantasy feel, like a kid's imagination from maybe an old kid's book from that time frame, rather than this overly scintillating artwork from today. And I like that. It was a nice throwback. I'm tired of seeing, I mean, I'm not opposed to some of this new cool artwork that's out here, but this was almost like a throwback, almost as if this is happening in a dream. And I think that was a cool feature. Now, for the game itself, it's not deck building, but this is a deck builder Well, it is deck building, but I mean, it's not solely deck building. But this is a deck builder where getting rid of cards is really important because at the end, you're going to be trying to...
Dragon.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I hate the Peaceful Dragon. But I guess on a side note, I think it's really fun to go to someone else's spot and discard a card into their pile. Yes. Love that. I only did it like 4 times. But anyhow, I also like the fact that you need to get rid of cards out of your deck because when these bigger quests come out, you want to go after them. But you can also save cards towards quests. I didn't show you the rules, but there's a little token and you could put cards underneath that and save them for those main quests. Or you can just stick cards under that you want to get out of your deck. So things like that I thought worked really well. And there's a lot of back and forth as you move around to do the monsters. When you use those magic carpets and the thing that lets you just put your discard pile and your draw pile, knowing when to use those is a big deal because that can really change how to play the game. You only have 3 of them, but you got to get them before the game's over. In a 4-player game, you play on teams. 2 people together against 2 other people. What'd you think about that?
That was a lot easier because if you didn't, like, everyone would have like a tie or something because of the part where the quest is hard to do.
Well, also because one person might do really well on a quest, and but they have to keep an eye out for their the person that they're playing with, and they also aren't discarding cards. You can't really gang up on someone because one of the people is on your team. And I actually think 4 players may be the best way to play this game. So, overall impressions.
I love this game. It was so much fun to play.
Really? All right, great. I liked it a lot too. I'm not sure where I would rank it right now. Maybe a 7 out of 10. I think it's a very refreshing theme. I think it's cool. I think there's a lot of neat aspects to the game. Don't miss getting those artifacts. They can really be powerful and get you some cool stuff as the game goes by. I'm looking forward to trying out the expansions to see what this game has in the future. But if
monsters.
Oh, that would be cool. But if it added nothing else to it, I think it would be a very good representation of the game right now. Fantastiqa is fantastic.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door!
There.